I'm Nicole Crane, and today we're going to dive right into how to achieve empowerment through the questions that you're asking. I'm just going to get this pulled up on my phone really fast so that I can see all the comments. Today we're going to dive right into how to... Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, so the reason why this is so relevant is because most of us are unconsciously making the bulk of our decisions, which means that our decision-making process is coming from our limiting beliefs. So since many of these are formed in the first 5 years of our lives, we basically spend a lifetime accidentally sabotaging ourselves. This tends to rear up and show itself especially when we're expanding and having incredible breakthroughs, because it starts to make us question what we've always known to be true, and honestly it kind of feels unsafe. So this is super relevant for what we explore in the Libtratory, because you're definitely going to be getting massive breakthroughs and having really, really fun changes, and start exploring some really interesting adventures. So the reason why this happens is because when we're operating on our old default settings, we're asking poor quality questions, and we come up with questions that are survival based, and this is because it takes less energy to ask these kinds of questions. The easiest modern analogy for this is that our brain is like Google. So it's incredibly effective, but you need to be conscious of the fact that you're only going to see the results that you're searching for. So the questions that you ask yourself are kind of like what you're typing into your brain's search bar. So you ask your personal internal search engine a question, and it's automatically going to spit out an answer. It has no choice. So the answer it gives you depends on the quality of the questions that you're asking. So if you're getting stuck, a lot of the time it's because you're asking how questions, and if the brain doesn't already have a plan worked out, if it doesn't already have, if it doesn't already know how you're going to accomplish something, it's just going to tell you you don't know how. So most of us are trying something totally new when we start going after our dreams. So when you want to start dating healthy people and you only have experience dating unhealthy people, or if you want to work in a field that you've never worked in before, or if you want to start a new creative project that you don't already have the tools or skills for, then the brain doesn't already know what to do, right? So if you ask your mental Google how, it's going to tell you that you have no experience in doing this and that there's no way to do it. So even though your brain is incredibly powerful, it can only draw from past experience, and it can only say, here's what we already know. But everything that you want, your dreams, your passion, your purpose, is in the unknown. And this is why I'm encouraging you not to get stuck in the how. If you decide to commit to doing this work and going through this entire process, the how, or your action plan, will become very clear to you. And this is going to evolve out of you asking good questions. So we need to consciously retrain the brain to ask high quality, empowering questions. And we need to repeat this process over and over and over until it actually becomes the new default. The first step in this process is to stop asking how before we need to know how. And then the next piece is to start getting conscious about the types of questions and the quality of questions that we're asking. So if you ask your brain, why do I always fail? It's going to scan all of your experiences for you, and it's going to make a list of why you fail, and it's probably going to show you a little montage of all the times that you did fail in the past. Does that really sound helpful? It's not. It's depressing, it takes you into a low energy state, and it demotivates you. I recently had this experience when I launched a new program and only had one person sign up. So since I was coming from my disempowered questions and my limiting beliefs, my first question was, why can't I make this work? And inevitably my brain came up with a bunch of low energy, low quality answers, like, because I suck at this. I'm not good at marketing, my network isn't big enough, the people in it don't have enough money to afford my services. So do you think that that felt good? It did not. So luckily I had this exact system that I'm going to teach you to reroute my thoughts and start thinking about better, high quality questions like, how can I find ways to talk about this program every day? How can I find new women that have time, money, and interest in seduction? How can I show women what these processes look like and how fun the practices are? And this created a huge mental shift for me. Instead of feeling like I was giving up, like I was an idiot for already investing so much time and effort into this program and cutting my losses, I decided that I was going to promote the same program for another 6 weeks. I would produce a teaser video of the dance practices, and I would start talking about it in other groups with women who had similar interests to that and who had friends that might be interested. And I started to get really excited by the idea of sharing these ideas again. It breathed more life back into the process, and my energy started to build on itself. So I found myself where instead of building up momentum and using a lot of energy to maintain it, I was just having a lot of fun talking about things that were really important to me, and the momentum was just kind of maintaining itself, and it almost gave me more energy to engage in and do this work. So it didn't cost me any energy at all. So when you start to ask better questions, it uses the brain in an empowered way, and the action steps automatically come out of the answers. So if you ask yourself a question and it doesn't feel good, like you feel uneasy or you start to worry, then you know it's not an empowering or a high quality question, because you have search results coming back and they don't feel good. But if you're asking the right questions in a high energy state where you've made empowering decisions and you're focused on gratitude, not your problems, you're clear on what you want, and you understand the power of high quality questions, the answers to the questions will become your action plan automatically. So from there, it's so much easier to make moves with confidence because it decreases your tendency to fall back into that fear, into that survival mode, and into your limiting beliefs. So what I'd like to invite you to do now is to take a look at the types of questions you've been asking yourself that don't feel good. So take a look at the questions that are disempowering, that are unconscious. Maybe it's around your career growth, maybe it's around your relationship or following your passion and your purpose. Maybe it's the questions that you ask about quitting smoking or getting back into shape. But whatever the set of questions is that you've been asking yourself that your brain is giving you results around that don't really feel good. So just take a look at how this keeps you in a low energy state that keeps you from having a major breakthrough. And it's not a productive state, so it really does feel impossible to come up with ideas that become the action plan for you to start taking steps forward when you're in that state of mind, right? So once you identify the disempowering questions, I'd like you to brainstorm on some different questions that you can start asking that feel empowering. If you know where you want to be, what success looks like for you, what questions do you need to answer to know how to best get there? Like, do you need new skills? Do you need to extend your network? If you start to think of this internal Google as also being like a genie in a lamp, what would you wish for and ask for to get you closer towards your goal? So be aware when you're starting with the how questions though. So if it does feel helpful to ask how questions, that's cool. But be really vigilant about noticing when they feel gross and start stealing your energy. And that's when you choose to replace them with other more empowering questions. So instead of asking yourself a question like, how am I going to learn how to sew? You can start asking something like, where can I go to get more information? Can I Google this? Can I look up classes or workshops that will teach me? Do I already have the right supplies for this project? So to contrast that, because I know that people just like love to play devil's advocate. I know I do sometimes. So if I wake up and I'm asking myself, how can I stay conscious of building meaningful connections at work today? That feels really good in my system, and it boosts my energy and my gratitude, and that opens up a space for me to receive inspirations and ideas. So I'm going to experiment with the friendliest ways to greet people, or I'm not going to get defensive or mean if I feel rejected. I'm going to stay in curiosity. But going back to the disempowering questions, if I ask myself, how can I make more sales today? That doesn't feel as good. I don't feel like I'm in control of whether people say yes or not, and I start kind of like spiraling and losing my energy and connection. So you can determine by like what feelings start arising and coming up for you, whether your questions are empowering or disempowering. So to wrap this up and tie it into how all of this relates to the Libtratory, if we were doing the course right now, I would guide you through a process where you come up with the new set of empowering questions and then go ahead and like create your action plan together with me. So that's the beauty of one-on-one coaching. Not only do I hold you accountable personally, like I reach out to you even up to once a day if that's our agreement, but I also hold your hand through the entire process. Whereas like with I know in group programs or pre-recorded programs, sometimes we have this tendency to be like, yeah, I'll do that later, right? So the beauty of doing this one-on-one together is that I'm sitting there while we go through this process together, and that way it gets done. So I just finished a coaching challenge where one of the affirmations that was kind of repeated was, what gets scheduled gets done. So the beauty of having to show up for our session together and having that scheduled ahead of time means that we're going to make progress every single week towards achieving your goals. So I do still have a couple spots left for the Libtratory at the introductory price, and to sweeten the deal, until December 4th, I am giving you a free ticket to my upcoming Mindset Mavericks 2-day weekend workshop, which is happening on December 5th and 6th. So the cutoff is the 4th, and the workshop is on December 5th and 6th. The workshop is a deep dive into all this mindset work that we cover in the Libtratory, so you'll actually get to go through that material twice during the duration of your package. I love repetition because it helps a lot in the process of letting go of those old beliefs and consciously replacing them with new ones. So the cutoff is December 4th at 2 p.m. and you can just sign up for the Libtratory at the usual link, and this will automatically be included until the 4th. So I'll drop that link in the comments so that you can get signed up. Okay. Awesome. And if you want to do the workshop without the one-on-one coaching, keep your eye out here on my personal page. I'll be releasing that information in the next couple days. And if you have any questions or comments about empowering questions or anything that we've talked about in the previous couple of weeks, you can ask that in the comments below and I'll address those questions. And I hope that everyone is off to a great start for the week, and we'll talk soon. Mwah. Bye. Thanks for joining me.